Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Hazrat Bilal, Coordinator, Department of Education, Sarhad University of Science and Information Technology, Peshawar, Pakistan. Dear students, as you know, today this is the second class of this particular subject, General Methods of Teaching. As you know, in first class, we discussed something in very detail about the definitions of general methods of teaching. Those definitions which were defined by different scholars based on their research. After that, we discussed something about the basic principles of general methods of teaching. That what are the basic principles? So, we discussed almost 10 to 12 different basic principles related to general methods of teaching. In today's lecture, our main targeted area is teacher, meaning to say, in today's lecture, we need to discuss the role of teacher in creating a conducive learning environment. After that, we need to discuss some different qualities of an effective teacher. And finally, we need to discuss the strategies related to teaching methodology. So, these topics will be our targeted area for our today's lecture. So, let us have a start from the role of teachers for conducive learning environment. As you know, teacher having lots of skills based on their expertise and based on their experiences. Teachers having all those skills and techniques based on which they know how to create a conducive learning environment for the students. They know how to inject their words in the mind of the student. The teachers know which type of environment is more favorable for students. The teacher also know how to motivate the student to take interest in their lectures. And the teacher also know how to improve the presentation skills of the students as well. In short, the teacher have all those expertise based on which they can make their class more productive, more fruitful and more conducive for their students. So, there are different strategies, different techniques which a teacher used so that to make their classes more and more effective. Number one, address student needs. An effective teacher must know the needs of the student. What might be those needs of the student? Number one, friendly environment. Now, from the friendly environment we mean an environment in which the student can share their problems, their issues openly with their teachers. That's why they need a type of friendly environment. Because in a friendly environment, the student can speak out whatever they have in their heart. In a friendly environment, the learning ability of the student getting increasing with the passage of time. Why? Because the teachers offering them an open platform. While using that particular platform, the student can share their ideas, the student can share their issues, the student can share their problems with the teachers. That's why it's necessary for the teacher to provide an environment which is friendly, where the student can share their problems and their issues openly with the teachers. Seating arrangement, that is another important tool which the teacher need to use. From the seating arrangement we mean proper rows, proper columns in which we need to adjust the students. Sometimes a student is a bit shy while sitting in front of the teacher. We need to change their position. Sometimes a student is feeling very uncomfortable in a particular situation, in a particular condition, or the student is feeling very unfavorable. Or simply we can say the student is not satisfied from their own position because of the friends which he or she have around him or her. In that particular situation, we need to change the seat of the student. We need to provide an environment which is favorable for learning. That's why seating arrangement matter. If a student feels uncomfortable in one particular position, we need to change their position. That uncomfortability may be because of their friends around him or her. In next case, group learning. As we know, in every class, there are 2 to 3 different categories of students: top talented, average, below average. Whenever a teacher delivering a lecture, it's not necessary that all these 3 categories of student may learn excellently. It's also not necessary that all these 3 categories may not learn. If one category of the student learn excellently, the other may face little bit problem, the third category may have lots of problem. In this particular situation, group discussion matter, group learning matter, group activity matter a lot. In a group, some students belong to average class, some student belongs to below average, while some students are well talented students. So in a group, they are sharing their ideas, they are sharing their experiences, also they are sharing their issues in their own traditional language, if the teacher is using curriculum language in the class. And that curriculum language may be a barrier for certain students as well. So in a group, all the students may share their issues, they may solve the questions, they may discuss the topic in their traditional language for their better understanding. So while conducting this particular activity, the students may learn a lot. And the student also want this particular environment, that there should be a group discussion activity, so that different categories of students, they may learn properly in their traditional languages, in their curriculum languages, or whatever language, whatever pattern, whatever words they want to use, so that they could learn the topic, they could learn the question excellently. Guidance and counseling. Whenever a student entered a class, so every student having certain issues, that might be their domestic issues, social issue, economic issues, or some issues related to their professional growth, some issues related to the selection of their future goals and objectives, some issues or confusion related to the promotion of next level of education. In that case, we need to provide, the teacher need to provide the facility of counseling, the facility of guidance. We need to provide such a platform so that the student can easily discuss their issues with the teachers, and it is the responsibility of the teacher to guide the student on a right track based on their experiences, based on their expertise, and based on their education level. It's also necessary that with the help of the student, the teacher need to select some future goals and objectives for the students while measuring their ability, while measuring their mental level. By doing so, the teacher provide an environment which is favorable for the students, and as a result the student will take interest in their studies. The student will be motivated. The student will show regularity. He will never remain absent from the school for a longer period of time. The student will try to visit the school as much as possible. Why? Because in a school the student is facing an environment which is highly acceptable for him. That's why the facility of guidance and counseling, it is compulsory that a teacher should offer to the students, because the student knows nothing while compare it with the teachers. So that's why in order to increase the learning ability of the student, in order to solve their disputes, in order to select some future goals and objectives for the students, it's compulsory that the teacher should play a role of counselor. Sharing of social and moral values. It's also necessary that along with their syllabus, the teacher also need to discuss some social and moral values. The teacher also need to discuss some ethical standard in the class. Yes, it's necessary that the teacher need to cover the syllabus, but for a short period of time during a lecture, the teacher also need to discuss some ethical standard so that the student could differentiate between right things and wrong things, ethical things and unethical things, moral things and immoral things. The student at least know their social values. The student must know that his or her importance in that particular society in which he or she is living. The student must know that how a society is important for me and how I am important for the society. If these things are clear to the student, so what will happen? Their moral development will become more easy, their professional development will become more easy, their social development will become more easy. Next, acceptance of human relationship. From the acceptance of human relationship, we need to accept the ideas of the teachers. We as a student need to accept the ideas of the teacher, plus the student need to accept the ideas of the teachers. Also, if there is a group activity, we need to accept the talent of one category of student, and we also need to accept the problems of another categories of the student. And we need to solve all those particular problems which are available in that particular class. If a senior level student advises the junior level students, we need to accept it. If in a class, a student explaining a topic, and related to that topic, the student giving his or her own idea, so we need to challenge that idea. From the challenging of idea, it doesn't mean that we need to criticize that idea, we need to discourage that idea. No, we need to discuss it so that we could further know the logical backgrounds behind that particular topic. That's why we need to encourage these types of challenging discussion. We need to accept these types of human relationship. We need to respect the ideas of others. We need to respect the talent of others. We need to accept the superiority of other students if they are highly talented. So we need to discuss our weaknesses. We need to discuss our problems if we are facing in the class with other high categories of students. Let's suppose if I am facing certain problem in my course, in a question, in a topic. So I may not feel any shy if I am going to discuss it with another talented student. No, I have to accept the talent of my friend, the talent of my another class fellow. And I must visit to discuss my issue, discuss my problem about a topic with him or her. That's why it's necessary for a teacher to provide such type of environment which is favorable for the student. And that's why in first case we discussed that the teacher must know the needs of the student. So, all these are the things which a student need and which a teacher need to provide to that particular students. Next, create a sense of order. From a sense of order, we mean that whenever a teacher entered his class, he need to provide such type of activity so that the student become busy in their academic activities. If the student need some kinds of help, the teacher need to provide. If the teacher already given certain assignment, the teacher need to ask from the student about his or her assignments. If there is a test or quiz, the teacher need to start discussion about that. Whenever the teacher entered the class, so the teacher need to engage the student in their academic activities while asking certain questions from them in their previous lessons. The teacher should not let the student free for gossips, because if there are gossips activities among the student, environment will become unfavorable for the students. As a result, the teacher may not deliver his lecture properly. Why? Because the teacher provides a gap, the teacher provides certain rooms to the student, that gaps of gossips. So then it is not possible for the student, then it is not possible for the teacher to control his or her students. Why? If the teacher provides an environment of gossips, so the respect which a student have in their hearts for that particular teacher, its level will decrease. The fear level which a student have in their hearts for a teacher, that fear level will also decrease. And finally, the professional values will get decreased. So that's why we need to create a sense of order. We need to engage the students, we need to ask questions from them, we need to ask questions about the assignment given to them. We need to engage the student in some academic activities. That's why it's necessary that when the teacher entered the class, the first step should be the discussion of academic issues. The first step should be the discussion of some moral standards, ethical standards. Or the first step should be asking some questions from the student in their courses, in their previous lectures or in upcoming lecture. Third, get to know your students. A teacher needs to know their students. How to know their students? First of all, a teacher must need to memorize the names of their students. By doing so, the student may get encouraged that yes, the teacher knows me practically, personally. The teacher knows me by name. That's why it will be a type of motivational factor for the student. The next thing, the teacher also need to know the mental level of the student, the learning capability of the student. During a lecture, the teacher also need to know the facial expressions of the students, that either the students are picking my points, they are getting my points, they are understanding my points or not. They are understanding whatever we are delivering in the class or not. As we discussed in our previous class as well, that teaching is not something to write something on the whiteboard and the teacher should note it and the students should note it in their notebooks. That's not only the teaching. Teaching is something to judge the facial expressions of the student, to measure the learning capabilities of the students, to increase the learning capabilities of the students. That's why we need to know our students. We also need to know the ethical standards of the students. and if there is a need, we need to provide some individual counseling to those particular students. We need to work upon the mental level of the student, moral values of the student, social values of the students. Also, we need to know the culture of the student. As we know, nowadays almost every class is a diversified class. People belong to different geographic regions, having linguistic differences, having gender differences. They get together in a class. So we need to use those types of words, we need to act like that, so that our actions, our deeds, our words should be acceptable for each and every student. Interest of the students. We as a teacher need to know the interest of the students. Now, interest having 2 or 3 different meanings. The interest of the student in a particular class, the interest of the student in a particular topic, the interest of the student to take a class with a particular teacher, or no, the students are also taking interest that the teacher will give us some proper roadmap, some guidance, some counseling related to our future goals and objectives. Also, the student, we need to find out the interest of the student, that which particular teaching methodology the student likes a lot. That's why we need to know the interest of the student. Extracurricular activities. In a school, there must be some extracurricular activities. It may be games, it may be functions, it may be seminars, it may be certain workshops, so that the student could not get bored in their routine study, in their routine lecture classes. We need to provide certain physical activities to the students in shape of breaks, in shape of games, in shape of some functions, in shape of some seminars. While doing so, the student will remain fresh, the student will remain active, and they will take interest in one set of activities, in another set of activities, in third set of activities. So this is a proper way to engage the student and to increase their level of interest. Learning style. We need to know the learning style of the students. That either the student, they may learn no, or they may learn more and more in a group discussion. The student may learn more if you provide certain assignment to them. The student may learn more if you provide certain presentations to them. So that's why we need to know the learning style of the students. Or no, the student take interest in lecture method. So this is the ability of the teacher to know all these things. And also the teacher need to know the mindset and goals of the students. If a student take interest in maths or physics class, so it means further or for next level of education, the student want to join pre-engineering or maths or physics level courses. Beside this, we need to create interest of the students in other subjects as well, because other subjects are also much necessary for achieving excellent grades. Because of those grades, they will be promoted to the next level of education, and they may take admission in some standards colleges or universities as well. Avoid judging. Nowadays, this is a common issue which arising in most of the schools, but we need to avoid it. Sometime a teacher labeled a student. एक टीचर जो है वो स्टूडेंट को मुख्तलिफ नामों से पुकारता है फॉर द सेक ऑफ फन. So this particular thing will discourage the student. क्यों? इसलिए कि स्टूडेंट के दिल में एक खौफ होता है, अगर मैं कुछ गलत कहूं तो टीचर मुझे कुछ अजीब अजीब किस्म के नामों से पुकारेगा। स्टूडेंट ये अपना इंसल्ट फील करेगा, उसके क्लास में उसकी डिग्निटी, उसकी रिस्पेक्ट डिक्रीज होती जाएगी। वो अल्फाज जो एक टीचर इस्तेमाल करते हैं स्टूडेंट के लिए, अजीब अजीब किस्म के नाम, तो फिर बाकी क्लास फेलोज भी उसी नाम से उसी स्टूडेंट को पुकारेंगे। फाइनल नतीजा क्या निकलेगा? स्टूडेंट डे बाय डे डिस्करेज होता जाएगा, क्लास में उसका इंटरेस्ट कम होता जाएगा, उसकी लर्निंग एबिलिटीज़ कम होती जाएगी, उसकी प्रेजेंटेशन स्किल्स कम होती जाएंगी। क्यों? इसलिए कि स्टूडेंट के दिल में एक खौफ होता है, अगर मैं कुछ गलत करूं, कोई मिस्टेक करूं, कोई गलती करूं, टीचर ने मुझे बुरा भला कहना है, अजीब अजीब किस्म के नामों से पुकारना है। वी नीड टू अवॉइड दीज थिंग्स। ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। अगर एक स्टूडेंट मिस्टेक करे तो स्टूडेंट तो आते हैं स्कूल लर्निंग के लिए, लर्निंग में वो डेफिनेटली मिस्टेक्स करेंगे। वी नीड टू सॉर्ट आउट द इश्यूज बेस्ड ऑन विच दे आर डूइंग मिस्टेक्स। We need to encourage the students by their mistakes as well. We need to advise them, we need to encourage them, and we need to sort out their issues. We need to advise the student based on their mistakes so that the student may not repeat those mistakes for upcoming presentation or for upcoming session. इसी तरह बाज़ औक़ात एक स्टूडेंट क्लास में मिस्टेक करता है, गलती करता है, कोई शरारत करता है, जो कि स्टूडेंट का नेचर है, तो टीचर को नहीं चाहिए कि वो उस स्टूडेंट का मजाक उड़ाए पूरी क्लास में। वी नीड टू प्रोवाइड सर्टेन गाइडेंस एंड काउंसलिंग रोल इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस। इट मे बी ग्रुप काउंसलिंग, इट मे बी इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग। इफ इट इज अ ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल विच आर क्रिएटिंग डिस्टर्बेंसेस इन द क्लास, वी नीड टू प्रोवाइड ग्रुप काउंसलिंग। अगर एक खास स्टूडेंट है, उसकी वजह से कोई दूसरी क्लास फेलोज डिस्टर्ब होते हैं या वो कोई गलती करता है, इन दैट केस वी नीड टू प्रोवाइड द फैसिलिटी ऑफ इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग। बट इट्स नॉट गुड टू इंसल्ट दैट स्टूडेंट इन फ्रंट ऑफ द क्लास। इससे वो स्टूडेंट मजीद बिगड़ जाएगा। इसलिए टीचर को चाहिए कि वो स्टूडेंट को अपने ऑफिस बुलाए, प्रिंसिपल को चाहिए कि वो उसको अपने ऑफिस बुलाए, कोऑर्डिनेटर को चाहिए कि वो अपने ऑफिस बुलाए, स्टूडेंट को उसके साथ बात करे रिस्पेक्टेबल अंदाज में। All the students are also belong to respectable families, so in a respectable manner we need to advise the student. We need to play a role of counselor. So this is the way because of which the student will mend their ways. Definitely they will turn from their negative direction towards positive direction. But if we insult that student in front of the class fellows, अगर हम उसका मजाक उड़ाते हैं पूरी क्लास में, सो देन स्टेप बाय स्टेप उस स्टूडेंट को कंट्रोल करना मुश्किल हो जाएगा। उसकी लर्निंग एबिलिटी डिक्रीज हो जाएगी, उसकी मोटिवेशनल स्किल्स कम से कम होते जाएंगे। Also, if in a class the teacher is taking any decision about a particular issue, so first of all we need to evaluate the issue, judge the issues. ऐसा ना हो कि लेट्स सपोज अगर क्लास में वाइट बोर्ड या ब्लैक बोर्ड की इशू है, प्रोजेक्टर की इशू है, लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर्स की इशू है, और उसकी अनअवेलेबिलिटी की वजह से हम स्टूडेंट को इंसल्ट करें, तो नहीं। मैनेजेरियल मिस्टेक है, मैनेजेरियल लैप्सेस हैं, वी नीड टू ओवरकम दोस थिंग्स। इसी बात पर स्टूडेंट को नहीं डांटना चाहिए। ऑन दिस पर्टिकुलर इश्यूज वी नीड not to insult the student in front of their class fellows, and we need not to make fun of him in front of their class fellows. Be kind and patient. One of the superior quality of a teacher must be his or her kindness and his or her patience. Teacher always a role model for their students. Why? Because teachers having two basic qualities, kindness and patience. Patience to judge the issues, face the challenges, deal the students, to accept the moral standards of the students as well. स्टूडेंट के मसाइल को आराम से सुनना, जो इश्यूज जो मसाइल क्लास में अराइज होते हैं उसको आराम से सुनना, उस पर सोचना। अगर कोई स्टूडेंट गलती करे तो उसके खिलाफ सीवियर एक्शन लेने की ज़रूरत नहीं। ट्राई टू बी वेरी काइंड। इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग या ग्रुप काउंसलिंग से उसकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करो। अगर एक स्टूडेंट सम टाइम एब्यूजिव लैंग्वेज यूज करता है टू अदर क्लास फेलोज, इन दैट केस वी नीड सर्टन ग्रुप काउंसलिंग। हार्श वर्ड्स यूज करना है, यूज हार्श वर्ड्स इन योर ऑफिस। उस स्टूडेंट को ऑफिस बुलाओ, जो कहना है कहो, बट डोंट इंसल्ट, नेवर मेक फन ऑफ him or her in front of other class fellows. So try to be very kind and try to be very patient. Physical layout of classroom. जब एक टीचर एक कंड्यूसिव लर्निंग एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट करना चाहता है, सो टीचर को चाहिए कि पहले वो क्लास में जितनी अवेलेबल फैसिलिटीज है वो प्रोवाइड करें। इसमें दो तीन चीज़ें आती हैं। इसमें नंबर 1 आती है सीटिंग अरेंजमेंट, प्रॉपर रोज, प्रॉपर कॉलम्स और प्रॉपर ग्रुप्स। सेकेंड थिंग, जितनी भी एविएट्स हैं आपके पास, चार्ट्स है, डायग्राम्स हैं, डिस्प्ले करें सो दैट द स्टूडेंट may learn something practically. प्रोजेक्टर है, मल्टीमीडिया है, use it, utilize it and give up to date information, up to date knowledge to the student. कुछ वीडियो है related to the topic, play that video in front of the class fellows so that they may learn more and more. So क्लासरूम का जो लेआउट है वो स्टूडेंट की लर्निंग एबिलिटी को बढ़ाने में बहुत अहम किरदार अदा करता है। क्यों? अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोवाइड करते हैं, आप एविएट्स, चार्ट्स, डायग्राम्स वगैरह प्रोवाइड करते हैं, प्रॉपर सीटिंग अरेंजमेंट प्रोवाइड करते हैं और एक्सेलेंट टीचिंग मेथडोलॉजी प्रोवाइड करके आप वो सारी चीज़ें एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स द स्टूडेंट लर्निंग एबिलिटी विल बी इंक्रीजिंग. So that's why it's necessary for the teacher to consider the physical layout of the classrooms as well. The last one, creating a communal atmosphere. From the communal environment or atmosphere, we mean to provide such type of environment so that the student could communicate. The student could communicate their issues, their problems with teachers and among themselves as well. We need to provide such a platform so that the student may come directly to the teachers and they may communicate whatever problem they are facing in their class. That's why the provision of communal atmosphere, it's very necessary. It will encourage the student that yes, I can spoke out whatever I have in my heart. I can share the ideas, whatever idea comes in my mind about a particular topic. I can share if any confusion, if I'm facing related to my academic career. Based on my skills and abilities, I want to discuss it with the teacher, and the teacher must provide me certain logical background, certain future objectives. That's why we need to provide an environment which is free for communication, where we can spoke out whatever we have in our heart in a certain limitation. Okay, now we are moving toward a new topic, and that new topic is related to qualities of effective teacher. नॉर्मली टीचिंग तो एक ऐसा प्रोफेशन है जिसमें एक आम आदमी ये सोचता है कि बस जस्ट सिर्फ शेयरिंग ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन है। टीचर क्या करता है, क्लास में आता है, बोर्ड पे कुछ लिखवाते हैं, स्टूडेंट लिख लेते हैं और बस टीचिंग ख़त्म। नहीं, टीचिंग के साथ बहुत ज़्यादा चीज़ें रिलेटेड है। इसमें जो सबसे बड़ा रोल है टीचिंग का वो है टीचर की क्वालिटीज़, टीचर की एबिलिटीज़। So, what are the basic qualities of a teacher due to which his class will become more and more productive, his class will become more and more fruitful, and his class will become more and more conducive for learning? First quality of an effective teacher, the ability to develop relationships with their students, the establishment of relationship. Which type of relationship? Friendly relationship, professional relationship, a relationship which is free from any kinds of biases, a relation in which there is an open communication of ideas, an environment where the student feel free to discuss whatever they have in their hearts, whatever they have in their minds. If there are certain functions, certain science seminar, the teacher need to visit those to attend those particular seminars. Why? It will create a type of professional relationship with the student. Student will also get encouraged based on the relationships which they have with their teachers, because at any particular situation during their academic session, the student are free to discuss whatever issues if they are facing during their academic session with their teachers, and the teacher is bound, the teacher is responsible to give efficient response to solve the issues of the students. So, the provision of this environment is possible only if the teacher provide an environment which is professional, which is free from biases. In this particular environment, the teacher need to respect the ideas of the student. The teacher need to respect the future goals and objectives of the students. The teacher need to respect the mental level of the student. If it is low, the teacher need to respect, the teacher need to take responsibility to uplift the mental level of the student. That's why we need to know our student. We need to know our student by name, by their mental level, by their family background, by their social background, by their ethical background. We need to know all these things. Second, patient, caring, and kind personality. As we did lots of discussion in our previous topic upon this particular thing, just we need to elaborate one more thing: caring. That a teacher must be caring. The teacher must care the talent of the student. The teacher must take care the future objectives of the student. From time to time, the student need to advise the student. From time to time, the teacher need to play a role of facilitator to facilitate the students in the selection of their future goals and objectives, to facilitate the students to increase their mental ability, and to facilitate the student in the provision of a conducive learning environment. Third, knowledge of learners. Who are the learners? Students are the learner. It is also one of the prestigious quality of the teacher that the teacher should know their student, and the teacher must have knowledge about their learners. The teacher must measure the facial expressions of the student. The teacher must measure the learning ability of the student, the ethical standards of the student, the character of the student, and most important, the teacher must measure the environment which he or she is providing to his or her students. If a teacher knows all these things, of course the environment will be more and more conducive. That's why we can say that knowledge of the learner play a very important role in making a conducive learning environment. Dedication to teaching. Nowadays, this ability is increasing. Majority of the teachers, they are showing lots of dedications. Why? Because the policies of the governments are getting changed. The rules and regulations and the policies of the school organization or the school management is getting changed. If we consider teaching, so in teaching, dedication play a very important role. Dedication means that the teacher need to give knowledge from the core of his or her heart. Also, the teacher need to be on time. The teacher need to leave the class on time. The teacher need to be professional. The teacher need to be patient. The teacher need to be caring, and the teacher need to be well disciplined. Beside this, the teacher need to show dedication in terms of covering his or her syllabus in a given period of time. The teacher must show his or her dedication in terms of improving the student level of the mental level of the students. The teacher also need to show dedication to improve the learning skills, the presentation skills of the students. Dedication means that the teacher showing full devotion how to uplift their students, how to increase the learning abilities of the student, how to increase the presentational skills of the students. And dedication means that a teacher loves his or her profession. The teacher loves his job area. The teacher loves his organization. Only it is possible that the teacher could show their dedication. If any of them is missed, it means dedication is a bit rare. So that's why we need to show full dedication, because teaching is a responsibility, and for that responsibility we are answerable. We are answerable at the day of judgment. We are answerable to our management, and we are answerable to our nation, and we are answerable especially to the parents of those particular students which are the part of my class or my school. That's why we need to accept this responsibility, show full dedication to provide a conducive learning environment. Next, the next quality of an effective teacher is engaging students in learning. अब स्टूडेंट को लर्निंग एक्टिविटीज़ में एंगेज रखना ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ लेक्चर के थ्रू पॉसिबल नहीं। अगर हर रोज़ एक टीचर सिर्फ और सिर्फ वाइट बोर्ड या ब्लैक बोर्ड पर लेक्चर डिलीवर करता है, द स्टूडेंट विल गेट बोर्ड. When the students get bored, what will happen? Their interest in that particular subject will decrease. When their interest is getting decreased, they may remain absent, they may show absenteeism. Why? Because the students know that every day the same activity is repeating. That's why we need to change our teaching methodologies as well. Engage the student in group learning. Arrange study tour for the students. Arrange certain workshops for the student. Arrange certain seminars for the student. Arrange certain lab works. Switch your teaching methodology from one level to another level. Divert your teaching methodology. Sometimes ask questions at the start of the lecture, during the lecture, at the end of the lecture. Conduct presentations from the student. Give certain assignments to the students. Give certain projects to the students. These variations in the teaching methodology will encourage the students. Every day they will face something new. If they remain absent, they will have a tension in their mind that today the teacher will teach something new, in a new style, in a new format, while utilizing a new pattern of teaching. And the student will feel that yes, I missed a new chance to learn something more, to learn something new. So, the ratio of absenteeism will also decrease. The student will show full dedication to come to the school. The student will be encouraged that yes, every day activity is getting changed. A new method of teaching we are getting. That's why we need to keep the student engaged in learning. But that engagement belongs to different activities of teaching, different methods of teaching. Okay, now the final topic of the class, as we discussed at the start of the lecture, that today we have to discuss three basic areas. Role of a teacher in creating conducive learning environment. Number second, qualities of an effective teacher. And now the last one and the third one is teaching strategies. The first strategy which a teacher need to use in his or her class, the first one is visualization. Now, visualization refers to different things. Visualization also refers to that when a teacher teaching something in the class, the teacher need to relate that topic, that question in a real life scenario. The student will get encouraged. Visualization also refers to the forecasting ability of the teacher. That the teacher can forecast that in how much particular period of time we will cover this topic, this course, this syllabus. From visualization we means the measuring ability of the teacher as well. That a teacher could visualize his or her student, that the teacher could measure the mental ability, the learning ability and skills of that student. And from the visualization we means that the student could achieve this particular grade, the teacher must know it. Why? Because the teacher always measuring the learning ability of the student, and the student always need to give response based on the expertise of the teachers. Whatever the teacher says, the student need to accept it, and the student need to work accordingly. Second, cooperative learning. Cooperative learning means that we need to encourage the students based on some mixed abilities. From the mixed abilities we means that if the writing style of a student is very excellent, is outstanding, so we need to work upon his learning style as well. If his learning style is outstanding, we need to work upon his presentational skills. If his presentational skills are also excellent, we need to work upon his behavior. If his behavior is also good, we need to work upon his professionalism. In short, meaning to say, we need that the environment should be cooperative. And in cooperative environment, the different types of abilities of the student will get increased. The student will get advantages from different directions. That's why cooperative learning, it matters a lot. in increasing the learning abilities of the students. Third, inquiry based instructions. What inquiry based instruction? Let's suppose yesterday a teacher delivered a lecture. Now today when the teacher came, the teacher need to ask certain question in the previous lesson. This question technique will give a solid idea that yes, in previous class the student learned something or not. These questions will provide a solid information to the teacher that I need to change my teaching methodology or not. The student will comfortable in this particular method because the response are okay. Inquiry based instruction, it also means that whenever you deliver a lecture and at the end of the lecture call a few students to come in front of the class fellow and provide 4 to 5 minutes for a presentational activity. From that presentation, the teacher will also gain some certain information that yes, the student learned today's topic. Or beside presentation, we can also ask certain questions at the end of the lecture that yes, the student are getting my points or not. Inquiry based instruction we also mean that whenever I am starting or whenever a teacher is starting a new topic, we need to ask 2 or 3 questions relevant to that topic so that we could realize it that the student having any particular idea about this new topic or not. If yes, we need to further polish it. If no, we need to provide very comprehensive information about that particular topic. But the thing is that we need to encourage them. We need to measure them. We need to understand them and we need to know them based on their skills, based on their ability, based on their talents, based on their individual differences. Differentiations, the next one. As we know that there are different students belongs to different categories and belongs to different levels. As we discussed in our previous lessons as well, that if there are 30 students in a class, we need to use such type of language which is acceptable for all those 30 students. We need to implement a teaching methodology which is acceptable for all of them. That's why we are saying that teaching is a very challenging profession as well. Here you need to inject your words in the mind of every student. And this injection of word is not a simple task. For this purpose, we need to calculate the learning ability, measure the learning ability, evaluate the skills and abilities of the students. That's why we need to bring variations in our teaching methodology. Why? Because there are certain differentiations in the classes. There are differences in their ability levels. There are differences in their learning capabilities. There are differences in their activeness. That's why we need to consider these types of differentiations inside a class. Next, technology in the classroom. Nowadays, technology playing a very vital role to provide information up to date. Why? Because of technology, we are getting information through latest research works. We are providing information to the students in a very easy and in a very comfortable manner. And the use of technology in the classroom, it is a modern method of teaching. In this modern method of teaching, the student taking interest more and more. Why? Because you are providing some real life scenarios. You are providing information related to our real life. You are relating your topic, relating your questions to the real life scenarios. Of course, the student will gain benefits from it. Also, the use of technology will encourage the students that they are getting knowledge, they are getting education through latest equipment. That's why the use of technology in shape of laptops, computer, projectors, multimedias, LCDs, LEDs, it matters a lot. Why? It will give a chance to the student to learn something more digitally, to learn something in a more advanced pattern, or to learn something according to some new research. That's why use of technology play a very important role, and it is one of the prestigious teaching methodology that if a teacher is using certain use of technology. Professional development. Teaching is not something just to cover the course, take exam, assign grades to the student, and the matter is finished. No. In teaching, we need to focus upon the professional development of the students. We need to work upon the personality development. We need to show certain etiquettes to the students. We need to realize certain social values and certain moral values. We need to create a sense of responsibilities among the students. We need to assure the students that you are the basic pillars of this country, you are the basic pillars of this society, you are the basic pillars of your family. Your one wrong act, one wrong decision, one wrong action, it will damage the pillars of your family. It will damage the pillars of your society. So the professional growth we means growth in their personality, growth in their mental development, growth in their social development, growth in their health development, growth in their academic development. It's necessary. As teaching is a very challenging profession, that's why we need to cover all these aspects during an academic session as well. Our student must be well talented, but our student will be more and more professionals as well. And the professionalism, the credit goes to the teachers and the credit goes to their parents as well. We need to realize the students that you are the reflection of your teachers and you are the reflection of your family. Your every word, your every action, and your every statement reflect your family and reflect your teachers. That's why we need to create a sense of responsibilities among the students. Based on that sense of responsibilities, they will move ahead. They will select professional goals and objectives for their future. They will try to promote themselves to some professional colleges, some professional universities, where the environment is completely conducive for the learning, where the environment is completely favorable for professional growth. That's why we need to work upon the professional development of the student as well. So, dear student, it was all about our today's lecture. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and for upcoming lecture, we will come some other relevant material related to general methods of teaching. We will elaborate the things related to general methods of teaching more and more. So, inshallah, we will have another introduction in upcoming session. Take care of yourself. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.